Our viewers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome again to Just Legal podcast by MNO Advocates. Today I'm sitting with the gentlemen of the profession. All the four of us have the unfortunate joy of having been in university together at the same time. Both of us finished university in 2007, many years ago. But we've taken different journeys in the profession, similar along the way. But the reason why we are discussed is because we are in different sectors of the profession, and the purpose of this conversation is to just understand what opportunities are there in the profession, emerging areas, conversations around the career for young advocates who are seeking to turn out into the profession. And even parents who want to send their kids out into this profession, because I think most of us, especially me, the idea of being an advocate was created by Bioja Mahakamani, and I was a bit shocked. My first interaction with in law school, I should have changed. It's very different. So this should give you a bit of perspective. I think we'll start with the introduction. The two of us and Orina here are children of the village. These are in Vijana town. So if they, we can tell the profession is quite diverse. So I think we start, introduce yourself, what you do, just general introduction of what you are, extensively, that is.
Okay. Thank you very much. And thank you for this very excellent idea for inviting us all here to share our experiences and our journeys. So to start with, my name, as you said, is Orina Nabil. I'm an advocate to start with as the first thing, and I do many other things. I teach law at the universities, at Moi University and other places. I also do consultancies, both local and international, on key among them being areas of international law, international security law, as well as international criminal law. And I think another area where I work in is I'm a part-time judicial officer, sitting as a chairperson of the Land Acquisition Tribunal, which I'm happy to talk about in greater detail as we go along. So I do a number of things, but my key area of focus has always been academia. Since we left university, I went into academia, which then has given me other entries into other areas of interest, especially in the consultancies that I've done. I also practice law, although not as extensively as my other colleagues who are here. But I think in summary, that is what I do, and we will get deeper into
good to notice you have, is it Doctor of Law or PhD of Law? I don't know what the difference is.
Yes, I have a PhD in law, and essentially there is always debate about the difference between a Doctor of Laws, which is an LLD, and a PhD in law. And I think a key difference is usually someone who has a PhD means that he has attained that degree through research. He has attained a doctorate in philosophy, which means he has completed a thesis, which then leads to an award of that doctoral degree. An LLD, which is granted by other jurisdictions, can either also be by examination by thesis or through the writing of a number of articles. But there is also a JSD, just to add, to throw it in the confusion. There's a Doctor of Juridical Sciences.
So for me, who has written a few newspaper articles, I have an LLB.
I think you have a doctorate in the streets.
I'm Mugambi Laibuta. Mine is a PhD in law, not an LLD. I did a PhD in data protection regulation in Kenya. I'm also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I'm an academic, but not strict sense academic like Orina. I've taught at the Kenya School of Law for more than 10 years. Currently, I'm a consultant in data protection compliance and technology compliance and regulation, providing advisory services to different kinds of sectors. Before that, I worked primarily as a legislative drafter and policy drafter and analyst. I've had the opportunity to work on constitutional review processes in Kenya, Somalia, South Sudan, Sudan, and the Republic of Chile. Also having the opportunity to work in civil society, private sector, international development, government, and private sector. So mine has not been the strict sense legal practice. It's been a trajectory of different kinds of experiences here and there within Kenya, the region, and internationally.
And I mean, when you were in Sugunanga, you didn't look like Sugunanga is where the university was, more university.
But I lived in Elgontia. You need to clarify. Yeah. The school was in El Sugunanga.
What were you doing in Sugunanga every evening? So, yeah. I mean, for the viewers, if you want, people keep on saying, what did the draft of the Constitution mean? Yeah, the Kenyan Constitution, you can ask him. He was in the committee of experts. Is it committee of experts, yes?
Yes, committee of experts on constitutional review.
Constitution review. Anash.
Thank
Conrad.
you very much.
Yes.
I'm really grateful to be here.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for this opportunity, MNO. I can confirm they're actually my advocates. Wananisumbanga sana na fees. And
people need to know that even lawyers have lawyers.
We cannot represent ourselves.
Yes.
MNO is actually my lawyers on my issues, on my private personal issues.
Yeah.
My name is Anango Maloba. I'm the managing partner at Conrad Law Advocates LLP. We are here at Arboretum, State House Road. I am an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I am principally a litigator. I do litigation work mostly. Dispute resolutions through arbitration. But mostly I'm involved in commercial law, commercial practice. I'm also a corporate lawyer. I represent several corporates. We also handle legal compliance, legal audit. And mainly, unlike my colleagues here with accolades of educational achievements, I was here to... We are streets. We collected it from practice. Yeah, I initially used to work for a firm called Hamino and Hamino Advocates, under Dr. Hamino, under the tutelage of Dr. Hamino. That's where I gained most of my experience, most of my skills. I'm also a radio host. I host a program at Ghetto Radio in Wakili Mta. If I start talking those things we talk over there, Goteana. If I bring Goteana up at that language now, yes, you'll start looking at me differently. But yes, I'm also into entertainment. I own several entertainment establishments around the city, and we're also entertainment lawyers. And I think for introductory bit, that's enough for now. So we'll take your questions.
Of course, there are people who maybe I'm going to be myself. Makanda, a senior partner or managing partner at MN Advocates, primarily a commercial lawyer. A commercial lawyer is more transactional side, not the court side. I used to go to court. But I lost interest along the way. So I do mostly transactional. So all your contracting work and advisory work, that's what I do. Coming back to the profession. In Kenya, most people stumble in professions. I don't know if you guys, you wanted to be advocates or you passed exams. That's the problem. The challenge every time you talk to a Kenyan professional, it seems like they passed exams first and then did their careers. So, I mean, Ole, did you start out to be a lawyer, or I know yours might be genetic too, but
no, I basically grew up in a law firm.
Yes.
So mine was it was quite easy. I mean, because
that's what we
used to have holiday work.
Yeah.
So my folks ensured that we worked to eat, to put it simply. I mean, you have to do something to just gain some simple soft skills. So I worked at a law firm in high school, after high school. So it was easier for me to choose law. It's something that I could relate to.
It's a natural progression.
Yeah. So I chose a profession that I could relate to and I saw how it works.
Yeah. and Anash?
Yeah, just similar to Lebuta, I also grew up in a law firm, as I've said, the Hamino and Hamino Advocates. Right after high school, I was in high school in the Bunduzuko, some place called Muhila in Huisero. Yeah, that's
St. Xavier Shipalo.
in Kakamega.
Yeah.
And through family relations, I was able to get a gig at Hamino and Hamino Advocates as a clerk, as a messenger. And at that time, my intention, my zeal was to go to do accounting or computer science. But working under this brilliant mind, this Dr. Hamino.
I'm sure it's at the peak of the golden bug.
Yes, right. That's true. That's true. Yeah. I got the zeal and I said, this is what I have to do. So it was easy for me to make this decision. It was not about exams and everything. It was that encouragement from Dr. Hamino. And I'm glad that I actually took this path.
Orina?
Well, I think mine was totally different. I knew a few relatives who were distant relatives who were lawyers, but I never got close to a law firm. So for me, it was an endeavor to work hard in high school. I think every kid in high school during our time is striving to get into these, well-to-do careers. You want to be a doctor, you want to be an engineer. And law is, I think, the list of those things that we used to place up there. But then it happened that after we finished high school, and then I felt that probably my the way the selection was going to be done, if I didn't get to be a doctor, then I started developing an interest out of my own curiosity. I remember, thinking back then that I wanted to be someone like James Orengo. I think that those are the people I would think of, I looked up to. And so it chanced that, I applied to do law out of that kind of curiosity. And I think my own, not having been mentored by, any access to any law firm, but I think I made the right decision as, so this boy from the village who decided to
What village?
Ikuruma.
So mine is Koyonzo.
No, how you decided?
So for me, I mean, Laibut and I were in school together. If there was going to be any lawyer in our class, it was going to be me, because I've always loved controversy, and I was very certain along my way. Obviously, in the school we're in, I think Alliance guys, excuse me, I have to say, Starehe. In the school I was in, everyone not wanted had to be a doctor, and so I had this ambition of I wanted to be a lawyer, because I liked asking questions, a lot of questions. Got into trouble with a lot of prefects, but you couldn't voice it out because, truth be said, you didn't look like your serious life if you said you wanted to be anything apart from being a doctor from Australia. So, yes, I wanted to be a lawyer, and this is, especially when I got to high school, I turned out, of course, I ended up doing what I wanted to be. So now, coming back, in the journey of being an advocate, because most of us, most Kenyans, especially, and this might be happening even in universities where, both of you do teach, is people assume that law, is standing in court, and which is a branch of law, but even for somebody who practices, there's a whole expanse. I think court is like 15 or 20% of the legal work you do as a person. So maybe what you can do is draw some of the journeys from your own experiences, because I know, Orina, you had an opportunity to work at The Hague, at the ICC. I think, the fights going on between Israel and Palestine will generally be down your alley. You can maybe try to draw for us, those sort of opportunities for what, being an advocate is, away from just the public, the TV shows that most of us watch, which is about the court drama.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think one other thing that probably has not featured in our introductions is that the three of us work at the Kenya Human Rights Commission.
Yes.
Hey,
And
I
We cared about the public for long.
I would attribute that to, the kind of curiosity we had, in university. The push we had, and we were mooters. We mooted a lot. We participated in moots. We kind of went out of the way to try to discover what was out there, even at a very young age, while we were, finalizing our university. I remember when we were in our third year, I believe, is when the ICC started its operations. And I remember one of our teachers, one of our lecturers, when we were mooting, she asked me if I had heard of the International Criminal Court. It's like, well, I haven't heard, but it was related to a topic I was writing. And she's like, I think you should consider applying for internship. So because of our curiosity and the kind of curiosity I had around the area of international law and international crimes and responsibility for commission of such crimes, then I got to apply for internship. I got a recommendation letter. So I went beyond the traditional expectation of what was law, after university, the hustle to get into law firms for pupillage. I remember, all of us were just kind of migrating to Nairobi with a whole folder of
this time it used to be hard copies.
Applications where the address part is not filled.
Yeah,
so you go to a building and you ask which law firms are here. You write the name of the law firm with your hand, and then you hand out your application for privilege. So I think for me it was a curiosity to go far and beyond and try to see, okay, what is outside this little space that we have here.
But also, as fate will have it, sometimes people do get experiences from events that happen. In 2007, 2008, there was a post-election violence. So you were at The Hague representing some of the Kenyans who were accused. And I think you're one of the advocates on the panel of the ICC.
Yes.
Absolutely. So maybe you can talk towards that opportunity. I mean, sorry to call it opportunity because there were people were fighting in Kenya. But I mean, for a lawyer, if that for him was great opportunity because he had an opportunity to work on a Kenyan case and represent Kenyans at The Hague as a very young, advocate, a lawyer at that time. Yeah.
Yes, actually, it just happened to have come at the right time. So to say, because I gained a bit of experience in The Hague. I'd done my internship, and then the Kenyan cases were just coming to the ICC. And I can tell you that at that time, the interest in international criminal law, which is the area where I had to do my master's in, was very minimal in Kenya. There were a few lawyers who had practiced in Arusha with the ICTR cases, the conflict that had happened in Rwanda, the genocide. But at the time when I went to the ICC, then I became an intern, and then I picked up my interest from there. I went further to do my master's in international criminal law in the University of Torino in Italy. Then the Kenyan cases, when they were commenced at the ICC, the only readily available expert at that point who was young at my age was me, and so I got to be part of the defense team. And also worked a bit in Arusha on appeal, some of the appeal cases that had commenced way back in the days. So I think the lesson I can pick from there, and also share with upcoming lawyers and young lawyers at the moment, is that you seize opportunities. Our friend here is not an expert in data protection. When we finished campus, he had his eyes and sights on different other things. But as we go along and things are developing, and you can see what areas are coming up, seize the opportunity. Don't just sit back and continue along your
So
traditional areas of practice.
question-
And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with
The question I want to ask you,
yes.
you were my roommate at university.
Yes.
Why weren't you telling me these things?
I think you had other interests. your eyes were somewhere else.
Well,
I hope no family member is watching this.
one thing is not saying that he has done very well for himself.
Yeah.
And I think that also shows that whatever path that you've picked and you followed, I mean, we have a top entertainment lawyer here in our midst.
I've been saying.
I think you need to say Davido's lawyer.
I think we need to segue. I've seen his letters all over. My brother, you do this. Draw for us, because you went into practice straight away from university, and you had that experience from Dr. Hamin, obviously, who is a very respected courtroom lawyer, and you've just like maybe a son will be, you've not fallen far from the tree. And you've done a fantastic job in terms of, I remember when there was that fight about the musician Davido and all that. I was telling my friends, I'm sure the guy who's going to work for this guy is Zanash. And then a week later, I see your letter. So do this. I think it's also good to draw the journey about the hunger of the practice, and what then the street means. Because sometimes the challenge with the profession has been people see practice as recovery, RTO, which is road traffic accident, and that ecosystem. People don't understand that even if you are going litigation in court, everywhere you turn is actually a dispute. It's just how you choose to look at it. Maybe you can draw that whatever scenario for people.
I think the question I'd asked Orina is to draw from maybe an incident, as an event, a certain case.
Yes.
As lawyers, we rely on some principles and doctrines when we're doing our works. And one of the principles that I'd want to make reference to is the doctrine of precedence. Doctrine of precedence simply means that we are bound by the decisions that were made earlier by courts of competent jurisdiction. We're bound by such decisions. So when a lawyer is researching, he wants to find out what did the court say with respect to a certain dispute, what did the court say in an earlier situation. It even goes back, we have to go even to canon law, even to the Bible. We have to find out what was the holding in the Bible with respect to a certain dispute. Also with practice, I would be here and I'll be talking mostly about my experience and when I was, how I became the person I am through my engagement with Dr. Haminwa. There was a case we were handling of, it's already determined, so not caught by sub judice and contempt and all that stuff. Kenya Airways versus about 986 ex-employees. They were terminated sometime in 1996. And the High Court, Justice Mbogoli Mshaga, awarded them about something close to about 1.2 billion shillings then. Of course, Kenya Airways appealed through Hamilton, Harrison, and Matthews. They went to the Court of Appeal. And if I can remember very well, the bench consisted of Justice Waki, Justice Bosire, and Justice is that from our area, the lawyer guy.
I'm not a lawyer.
There's no records in Central. And no. Very cool judge. I remember his name.
Yeah.
And when I was researching for this case now in the Court of Appeal, we're coming to defend our clients. I came across several doctrines, several nice principles, and one of them was called the Bangalore Principles. Bangalore is all about it's about judicial activism, where judges are being asked to exercise their discretion by something called judicial activism, keen to making laws but low key. You get out of the statutory provisions, out of the principles that are out there, and you make a decision that conforms with the social justice. So I was so happy when I was presenting this case to Daktari that, I've got it. The only thing he picked up from that, on the social justice, because the argument was that the High Court judge, when awarding the the damages in Justice Mbogoli Mshaga, he was actually making laws. And so Dr. Hamina had to come and prove to the court he was not making laws, but he was exercising his discretion on judicial activism, right? So he just picked out the Bangalore principles. And Dr. Hamina was, he loves court dramas. And he kept on insisting Bangalore principles. So I was telling him it's Bangalore. It's a city in India.
It's in India.
Yeah. So it was Justice Waki, Justice Deverell, and Justice Bosire. Yes. Deverell, Justice Waki was presiding, and Bosire was there. So anyway, so when Dr. Hamina picked up this Bangalore principles, the 9 of them, giving judges discretion to exercise judicial activism. And when he was submitting to court, I was happy. I mean, I had these whole submissions from all over the world, and he just picked up the Bangalore principles. And when he was submitting, he's telling the court, the Bangalore principles, and he kept on with a heavy Lu accent when he was saying Bangalore principles. But then he shoved all those things aside and shoved away the books and everything, and then he looked at the judges, and he was telling them, now this is where he brings out his pride, that I've been practicing in these streets, in these courts for the past 30 years. And I remember sometime in 1976, when I was before this court, and now he wants to show the judges that I know I've been around. Justice Simpson was seated where my Lord Justice Deverell was sitting. Justice Madan was seated where my Lord Justice Waki is sitting. And Justice Miller was seated where my Lord Justice Bosire is sitting. And every time I would submit, Justice Simpson kept on looking outside the window. Judges, my Lord, I'm asking you to look outside the window. Look at what is happening outside the window. Look at my clients. They're miserable. Look at their faces. They're miserable. They're here. Most of them have died while we're going through this journey. What I'm asking you, judges, is forget about these principles. Just do what is right. So as lawyers, it's not all about research. We always look outside the window. We must look outside the window. What I'm doing here, what do I want to achieve for my client? What is it that I want to get my client to get? We do not enjoy our cases. We do not enjoy our lives as litigation.
People need to know that.
We do not enjoy it. Every single morning you come into the office, mtu anangori.
Yes.
And they want you to die na hiyo ngori yake. Someone has come telling you that my house is being auctioned. My house is being brought down. Please, cheza game yako, get this thing done. And you have to go home with that. Every single morning you get these briefs, inafika 5 p.m. You're going home, unapata wife amekufuria sijui nini huko. This is actually our lives. Yes. It's actually the truth. When my colleagues here go to do their researches and prepare legal papers in their field, it comes down to now us litigators to ensure that everyone, the social justice, they're looking outside the window, has to work. So when you look at us as advocates, msione tu tuna pesa mingi presenting this.
Lakini uko na pesa mingi.
Traffic up.
So yeah, drawing from that experience, I'd like guys to know that lawyers, what we do is actually sacred. It is sacred. It's noble. Forget about our dramas hapa nje venye tunajiringa, but what to do is noble. Right now, I was telling Makando when I was coming in that, will you allow me to have my phone to make urgent calls and urgent texts? Is that not right? Because we have to take care of our clients. There's a client somewhere there who believes that I cannot move a step without a Nash telling me what to do.
So, now, Ole, Mugambi, we call him Ole, those of us who know him well. You, just like Orina and ICC and International Criminal Law, we were mooting together. And one day I wake up and I'm seeing a lot of story on data protection. And the most I knew about data was a flash disk. So how and why?
Okay, I think I need to start. So like just the three of us, we started at Kenya Human Rights Commission. And I think it goes back even to campus, where we got involved in a lot of campus activities. Of course, different kinds of campus activities, however you define it.
A lot more fun than
yeah.
I was a DJ, remember?
Yeah. I mean, of course. I mean, in campus, I used to. Reggae. I used to earn a living by being a DJ. Actually, I used to earn 2K a night. So
reggae DJ.
So 4K a weekend, but that 4K never used to get home. So it's still amusing.
You leave it where you should DJ it.
Yeah. So I mean, all those activities then. So when you get after campus, we went to Kenya Human Rights Commission. I worked with the Health Rights Advocacy Forum, which was a new outfit then under Kenya Human Rights Commission. Then
sponsored by PEPFAR, was it?
Yeah, Physicians for Human Rights.
Yes, yeah.
Then I also got opportunity to work at Kituo cha Sheria as a legal aid assistant. So when I worked at Kituo cha Sheria, the director then was Dr. Ikuru Aukot. Then, unfortunately, the post-election happened in 2007, 2008. Then part of that process was the Kofi Annan-led mediation, what we call Agenda 4. And one of the long-term solutions for Kenya was to have a new constitution. So it was institutional reform, new constitution. So having worked for Dr. Ikuru at Kenya, at Kituo cha Sheria, so when he was made the director for the Committee of Experts on Constitutional Review, he called me to be his PA and assistant at the Committee of Experts on Constitutional Review. Why I'm mentioning this is to just say that the connections you make and the kind of work that you do when you're young really pays. Because if I had not performed well at Kituo cha Sheria, Dr. Ikuru will not have brought me to the Committee of Experts on Constitutional Review. So as my mentor, he brought me to the Committee of Experts on Constitutional Review, and we drafted the Constitution for Kenya for a period of around 18 months. And then, so it was quite an experience. I mean, for me as a young, then actually I was admitted when still working. I was admitted an advocate when still working at the committee, at the committee. But what that did, it gave me a lot of, it opened my eyes because I had the opportunity to go all over Kenya, interact with different kinds of professional, people of all walks of life. I went to places in Kenya, I saw on the map, yes, because I had an atlas, but I had no idea where this is. And also seeing conversations being done, very critical policy decisions being held at very critical locations, State House, Parliament, etc. And with that, I went and did a master's with a focus on human rights at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Then when I came back, I worked with an intergovernmental organization called IDLO, International Development Law Organization, that works in the same space. So with that, I had an opportunity to work on constitutional review processes in Somalia. So when the Somalia constitution was being drafted,
at 680,
I was in there. I can neither confirm nor deny, but I was part of that process, part of the South Sudan constitutional review process, though that has never been completed. Then with that, I also got opportunity to go to Chile and advise the president then, Michelle Bachelet, on her constitutional review process. Then recently on the Sudan constitutional review process when the junta took over. So as you see, there's connections. What I'm just saying, there's connection to work that comes out to opportunities. And this is just how the relations that you create and the quality of work that you do with this connection. So with that, I mean, from that time, I also worked as, so from the constitutional review process now, I also got skills as a legislative drafter. So I was able to draft a lot of laws, a lot of regulations over the years. I worked as the legislative drafter for the judiciary for almost 2 years. At the same time, teaching at the Kenya School of Law. Then I got into government. I was Director Legal Affairs at the Council of Governors during the height of the 100-day doctor strike. And just hope this time it won't be 100 days. So then during that time, around 2017, 2018, Europe was discussing what they were calling the GDPR. And I think we'll get emails and say the GDPR is coming. So what is this GDPR? The European Union General Data Protection Regulation. So as I just said, I just started reading it as fun because I'm seeing these Europeans are making too much noise about this thing. There must be something about it. So I started reading about it, and at the same time, I also represented bloggers when they are being arrested. You remember 2013, 2014, I would represent bloggers when the government was harassing bloggers. So, and a lot of that time we were talking about digital rights, and one of the rights was freedom of expression. We also think about the right to privacy for bloggers. Mutai. I also represented Boni and certain Boniface Mwangi and certain issues. So I just got curiosity and said, this general data protection regulation, there's something about it because they're making too much noise about it. So I just started reading it. I started looking online on YouTube, podcasts, just to understand what is this data thing all about. So then they were saying, it will come into operation in 2019. So I said, okay, by the time it comes into operation, I'll have an idea what data protection is all about. So I started reading about it, just listening. And this is just as a hobby. I'm still doing my policy making, my legislative drafting, my teaching. I'm still helping different countries in their constitutional review process. So I just read about it. Then by the time the GDPR had come into place, at that time, people were talking about courses to be a data protection compliance person. I'd never been a compliance person. I never worked in compliance. But I started realizing there's a gap here. Because in Kenya at that time, there was really nobody. I mean, people were talking about GDPR, but it did not understand how is it applicable to Kenya. So to come into that, so I got some online certification. Fairly, not very strong certification, but I just got some online certificate about what data protection is all about. Then people started, and then I will blog a lot. So I also started a blog. And then at that time, Kenya was also debating a Data Protection Act. The first time I had a Data Protection Act was in 2011, when the ICJ was proposing a data protection law for Kenya. But nobody cared at that time because we never knew what this is. So the GDPR now, there was this haste and we need a Data Protection Act. Then at the same time, also the government wanted to implement Huduma number. And the people are saying you can't implement Huduma number without a Data Protection Act. So I saw a gap. I said, they are not experts in this area. So I said, that expert will be me. So when I studied a lot about it, I got certifications, and then I started helping people in compliance. I did a lot of op-eds at that point. My blog flourished in terms of, because people wanted to know what is this Data Protection Act all about. Then even at that time, I realized also there was no scholar in data protection in Kenya. So I saw a gap.
Sometimes you just need to see people and talk to them.
If you have money, like what's this thing you normally buy, you're choosing between, and this is a bit reckless, between school fees and buying this thing.
And I have to tell them this, that opening a law firm after admission is a mistake.
Madam is telling you, bana, fees ijalipwa. You will say, fees tutajua mbele. I can talk to the school. But
for you to make this money, you need clients to walk into your office. Na hakuna client anakuja kwa law firm kutafuta matumbo ama tinikatie nyama hapi. They are coming with issues, they want you to handle them. Ngori.